Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides getting all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over if you like what you hear. We would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Got a lot to get to on this Wednesday. Good to be back. Sorry about last week.
Yeah, good to see you. Welcome on back. Like you said, a whole lot to get to. No time to waste. Let's roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's talk some sports, baby. And like always, you know what it is. Hey, we say what they want and see what they don't. Let's roll, baby.
In episode 30, we're recapping the AFC title game, checking in on Clippers Hawks, and investigating an empty Major League Baseball Hall of Fame class. But we're going to go ahead and take a start on the NFC side of things. And old Tom Brady, well, he did it again. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, defeating Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers 31-26 on Sunday. The teams were back and forth in much of the first half, but a defensive lapse by Green Bay let the Bucs go up 21-10 at half. Second half saw the Packers struggle to capitalize on multiple Brady picks, and they'd ultimately fail to get the ball back late. The win means Brady will appear in his 10th Super Bowl of his career, while the Bucs as a team will be in their second in franchise history. So, Drink, who's most to credit or really to blame in the result of this game?
Well, first off, let me say this, because you know what I'm saying, I want to be a man of transparency, So we get on here, we give our opinions, and when I'm right, I'm right, and when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Now, I picked the game right, but I gotta say, Green Bay, you wasn't as soft as I said you was gonna be. I thought they showed up on both sides of the ball, but like you said in the lead up, they did not capitalize on the opportunities that they had. We all know the famous play that Aaron Rodgers wanted to throw the coach under the bus for, but at the end of the day, yeah, third down, it wasn't your call, but it was your call on first and second. But back to the question at hand. Listen, Tom Brady going to get the credit. His team won. It is what it is. But you want to give the blame. The blame go to the Packers, however you want to put it, the organization, the team, whatever. Like, they had a chance to win that game. Point blank period, Green Bay could have won this game. They didn't. So the blame goes to them for losing the game. The credit goes to, Tom Brady and et cetera for winning the game. Listen, fantastic game, I say. But this was the reason you brought in the self-proclaimed GOAT. And this is and he put a stamp on it. If you actually think about it, I don't know if this will open up more transactions for quarterbacks that might be on their last, one or two, legs, and you want to bring them in and see if they can change your culture. But this kind of reminds me of what Kawhi Leonard did for Toronto. You paid Tom Brady what he wanted to get paid, money that he didn't get paid when he was with the Patriots. You gave him that big contract, and this is why you gave him the big contract, because this is the type of guy you need. You need a ambassador of winning to come in and show everybody we can win. See, and I know a lot of people say, hey, Tom Brady went to the Bucs and they was already a good team. Tell me how that worked out in the playoffs last year. Oh, they wasn't there. So don't give me that there was already a good team and he just came in and it was copy and paste. No. We said this in the beginning of the season. They had growing pains. They looked at God awful against the Saints this year. We just seen them get smoked on national TV. That's not like it was a cakewalk. But I'll tell you this, they wanted him for the month of January and February, and that's what they got him for the month of January and February. And this is why he's considered the GOAT. Anybody that's seen what he did with this team this year and don't consider him the GOAT, you just don't like football or you're a downright hater. And that's with a capital H. So I thought, before the season, it was hard to see them being the NFC representative because, you're in the same division with the Saints, right? And it's like, oh, they got to go through the Saints twice in the year and possibly go through them again in the playoffs. So, they're going to beat the Saints 3 times. They didn't beat the Saints 3 times, but they beat them when it mattered the most, right? And kudos to Tom Brady. Now, what was that cat name? King, number 20 on defense? Listen, this guy You talking about getting let me find a receipt. Man, listen, the lines, they held up a lot better than I gave them credit for before the game. But the secondary did not do they did not come to play. Not to say Yair Rodriguez didn't come to play, but hey, I'm sorry, bro. The rest of you guys they wasn't up to snuff. And old King, God bless him. His body got left out there on the field. Yeah, just bless him. He got picked on out there. Not to say he got torched, but he got picked on. But tell me that when the last time can y'all remember a quarterback winning an NFC Championship while throwing 3 interceptions and having a QBR 75.4? He threw 3 interceptions. If I would have told you that before we got on here, you would have probably assumed that they lost. Right. Before you looked it up yourself, you would have said, oh, well, no, actually he won. And then when you look at the quarterback that lost, 1 pick, 3 touchdowns. I mean, his QBR is low at 6.8, but still, you would just think 3 picks. There's no way he survived that, but he did. Why? Because that defense is for real, folks. Let's talk about that defense a little bit. I remember before when me and Jay was doing the show Saturday, I said, look, it won't be a repeat of what happened during the regular season. I just don't see the Packers laying down like that. But I would give the defense this credit. They didn't control him as much as they did in the first matchup, but they definitely gave him a lot of fits that he hasn't dealt with throughout the season, other than, the first time they played everything. So I got to give a shout out to the Bucs defense. This defense was for real. I'm looking at these stats. I don't feel like going through all of them, but to answer the question, like I said, if you know, Tom Brady is the GOAT. He going back to the Super Bowl to pass the torch to the young GOAT. And this is why you pay the quarterback as much money as you pay him for 2 years, even though he's 43 years old, because this is the result that you wanted. This is the result you get. And a lot of these young fellas that's on that team get their first taste of the Super Bowl action. So, man, hats off to him and hats off to championship weekend, because this was a damn good weekend of football.
I'll start where Drink started. In full transparency, I did not pick the Bucs to win this game. I picked the Packers. But as far as that's okay. That's what happens when you rely on guys like Matt LaFleur and all the rest of them. But it all starts. For me, I think when you talk about credit and blame, I think the guys on the sidelines had a lot to do with this game. For the Bucs, I think a whole lot of credit has to go not only for this game, but for the entire season. I think Todd Bowles deserves a lot of credit, and I think Todd Bowles. I hear you hear all the fellas who, are prime time, hot head coaching candidates. I'm not hearing the name Todd Bowles enough. Todd Bowles has earned the right, whenever it is, whether it probably may not be this year, but next season, Todd Bowles should be first in line, in my opinion, to get a head coaching job. This is a talented defense, but I've thought all along they're flawed. The back end, I think he got these guys to play a lot better than maybe. I think maybe they overachieved a little bit. I think his system with press coverage, blitz like crazy. I think that was a great benefit. I think it bothered Green Bay in this game, and this pass rush was wound up being a huge difference. I thought it was some of the blitzing. Maybe the likes of Levante David and Devin White that would have made a big difference in this game. It wasn't. It was the outside guys. Billy Turner and Rick Wagner could not handle the onslaught that was Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett. And far too often, Aaron Rodgers just didn't have time. Very unfortunate that they lost their All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari. I believe it was last week of the season. That turned out to be a very big deal in this game. So when you talk about credit, I think Todd Bowles deserves a lot of credit. I think Devin White's a superstar. He is excellent. Led the way with 15 tackles. They ended up being shorthanded on the back end. They didn't have Antoine Winfield for this game, I don't believe. Jordan Whitehead left later on. But these lesser than known corners, Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy Bunting, Jamel Dean. They just they're not the biggest of names, but they come out there, they compete. They play press man, they get in your face, and Murphy Bunting, an interception in all 3 postseason games in this great run On the other side, I thought Tom Brady was surgical in the first half. Had a really great start to that game. Obviously, faltered off in the second half. It was almost completely Jekyll and Hyde performance. But I think it was more about the Bucks defense in my mind than the Bucks. Well, excuse me, the Bucks defense than the Bucks offense. But on the other side, the other sidelines, I don't think they were all that impressive. I'm not sold on Matt LaFleur. I know he's made two straight NFC Championships games, but I'm just not sold. And got to throw you want to throw Kevin King in there, and he's absolutely right. He should, he is persona non grata in that city, for next few months or whatever, because it was a horrific performance. You get mossed by Mike Evans very early. Then you give up the inexplicable 39-yard bomb with 6 seconds to go in the first half, and then lo and behold, of course, third time's a charm. You commit the penalty that ultimately seals the deal for the Buccaneers. But Mike Pettin, I mean, the Packers, the way they had a couple of points in this game where they were down, but they had the momentum. You're down 14-10 late in the first half. You're trying to put together a drive. Aaron Rodgers throws his one interception. And then, just only like 30 seconds left. So you're thinking like, okay, well, we give up a field goal. We're still in pretty good position. And then, you give up a fourth down conversion, and then 6 seconds left for about the 40-yard line or so. And the Packers got caught with their pants down. And, next thing you know, it's Scotty Miller of all people just running by Kevin King, who we still, people are still analyzing the game film, trying to figure out what he was doing. I don't know what Mike Pettin called there, but there was one safety deep, and your cornerback and Kevin King's just looking at Tom Brady the whole way while Miller is running by him. It was just an awful sequence. That sequence, and when you add it to the Packers' first possession of the second half, when you have an Aaron Jones fumble, I mean, it's just a gut punch to end one half and a gut punch to begin the second half. And then the Packers, they come back, they score two straight possessions. Brady throws an interception, but then after the next two Brady interceptions, they didn't do anything with them. So they didn't. I mean, the game's about opportunities and taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. When Aaron Jones fumbled to open the second half, the Bucks jumped on. They took advantage. Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions. The Packers only get I think it was 6 points because they went for 2 for no reason. So. And then, of course, when you go down and you have, you're down 31-23. You have first and goal on the 8. You go RPO. Alan Lazard isn't even paying attention. Rodgers throws it right by his face. And then you try to force the ball to Devontae Adams 2 straight times. And then you go for the field goal when I think I would have took my chances on 4th and goal with Aaron Rodgers, because the Packer defense, they it's not like they played horribly, but I felt like in that situation, that was going to be a tough ask. You got pretty much one set of downs. You have to have a stop right then and there. And they ultimately couldn't do it. So I would have went for it. I wouldn't have went for 2, late in the third quarter. I don't know what little analytics sheet those coaches look at, but I thought it was way too early. I said it right at the time. And just ultimately, I think the guys on the sidelines had a lot to do with it. I think, Bruce Arians, that's, we know he's an aggressive. He wants to push the ball down the field. And they hit some big plays, and none bigger than that play to end the first half. When you make plays like that, and for the Packers, when you just, you're just situationally inept in a game, that's a big problem. And then, of course, for the Packers, it didn't end up catching up with them until this game. And I like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think Alan Lazard is a pretty good player. But don't you just get the feel that it would have been nice to have one extra weapon out on the field for Aaron Rodgers, maybe a T. Higgins, maybe a Michael Pittman, rather than having a guy that you draft in the first round who, virtually didn't play a snap during the season and didn't help you at all in this game. That's Jordan Love. That remains a mistake and a black eye for this team. And long term, already got Aaron Rodgers out here, being a little cryptic in the commentary, I'm not sure about the future and all this. Green Bay, when they made that decision, it was a bad move, and it's going to hurt them long term. We don't know what the extent of that will be, but I mean, I think whenever it is Aaron Rodgers is done, we're going to see how, in my mind, average Matt LaFleur is.
Yeah, it's look, that was the one thing I kept thinking this whole game. Every time something for Green Bay would go wrong, you watch the interior of that offensive line just get punished, and they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't establish a presence. The receiver issues. I mean, on defense, your corners getting cooked. You think, wow, how many opportunities have you had? I kept thinking, what if I took a guy like this is struggling out and put a first-round pick in there? How much better would this look? Would that have been the difference in the 1 or 2 or 3 plays that maybe shifted this whole game? I kept thinking that over and over. It wasn't just at the receivers. I think you're right. Outside of Devontae Adams, it's a group. Devontae Adams, you guys didn't bring up too much. He was really kept in check, because I think, but besides just the stat line, was the few times he did get the ball, it was like mostly on screens. Like they were having to manufacture ways to get him the ball. It wasn't really all that natural, and he got targeted a lot in the red zone. It was mostly bricks. So that was it was really impressive how good Tampa Bay's game plan was on defense to contain him. And then when you combine that with how well they held up on the interior of the line and didn't really allow that running game that allowed Green Bay to advance the week before.
How many to that point, to the running game point, because I didn't speak on that at all. How many times did I tell you during the game, why are they running the ball in the middle? There was nothing all night. You got Vita Vea's 450-pound behind in there. They were never getting anything in the middle. I get it. You want to run the ball, but could you run it, smartly and somewhere where you might gain a yard or two? Because every time they ran the ball in the middle, there was nothing.
They finished the game 16-67 as a team, that's an average, nice, whatever. I mean, 4.2 per, but it was not a pace setter. It didn't set the tone. It was just like here and there. It was a little sporadic. It didn't really do a lot for him. So that was, and I think too, Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to be getting a ton of blame in this. And I'm sorry, you're as an offense that you lead, you scored 3 points on 3 turnovers. That's just, I don't know why he always gets so much of an excuse. I know he had a pretty good game. It wasn't anything atrocious. He had the 1 pick, whatever, but it just seems like he's one of these quarterbacks. Like, you remember the play on 3rd and goal where he could have ran, and I don't know if he would have scored. Devin White was right there. I mean, he may not have scored, but he could have at least got them to 4th and 1 or 4th and goal. And that was the whole, right. But that was the whole, I thought I had another play. So even if you did, why would you want 4th and goal from the 1 or 8 versus the 1? But remember when Cam Newton didn't fall on that fumble and won the Super Bowls, and he got clowned for it for years.
Right.
What? But I mean, it seems like Aaron Rodgers. Oh, you don't talk about Aaron Rodgers like that. He's different. Don't do that.
Because he got the 1 wide receiver excuse. So as long as he got the 1 wide receiver, people overlook what he do and don't do.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like at some point he needs to have a little bit more of the blame. But on the Bucs side of things, real quick, man, I'm glad I was drinking their Kool-Aid because I was starting to get real nervous about that regular season. I was like, man, I've done jumped on the bandwagon, these dudes, and they're going all crash. But yeah, like we thought, man, all these veterans, they put it together when it counted. I mean, Brady was really good in the first half. Now these arm punts that he threw in the second half, I don't. That's something he's been doing this year with the Bucs. I like they air it out, but man. Some of those are pretty ugly. They need to get that under control. And, Chris Godwin's going to get paid this offseason, by the way. We didn't already know that. This man's about to get the bag and then some. But, man, they made 2 more plays, and that's really what it came down to. You got to think of your Green Bay. I mean, everything that happened, that score before halftime, you don't allow that, you win the game. Everything else equal. So, it's how it is sometimes.